So it's been almost 4 years now since I completely switched to vaping all my flower. No more combustion, no more lighters, no more hemp wick. I didn't really like hemp wick. I used to be big into combustion, but now there's no fire on my flower. I'm not igniting it. I'm just vaporizing it and inhaling the good portions of the plant. Now, as long as I've been a stoner, I've known that vaping is better. I've heard all of the basic points that they tell you, that it's cleaner, it's smoother, and you're just getting the good stuff. Vaping essentially helps you to better experience the loud, they call it. The louder the flower, the better it vapes. Now, it really wasn't for lack of trying, because I had tried a number of different flower vape devices, dry herb devices throughout the years. And while I will say some of them did perform better than some of the other ones, I was genuinely just underwhelmed and disappointed. It felt like I was just wasting my flower. Like, I was putting stuff in, I was getting some exhales out, right? I was breathing out vapor, but I wasn't really feeling the high that I was looking for. Not the same as when I hit it with a lighter. And the whole time I enjoyed vapor, right? But I was just getting the vapor from my concentrate. Dabs, if you're doing them properly, are vapor from concentrate. And that is some of the best hits you can get. And while I think flower vape hits are very good as well, I also really enjoy concentrate vape hits. Now, I do kind of sway back and forth about which one I like better, but I do think in general, I like the flower vaping more. I just think the hits are overall better. I like how simple it is. I like that there's less processing that goes into it. And in the future, if I'm getting into growing or something, I don't have to worry about being good at growing and extracting. I can just do thermal extraction with a ball vape or with another herb device that I like to use. Now, I can't really give out too many recommendations here. I have a number of videos on devices and other things on my main Cewpins channel. Definitely follow that one out. But this one, we're just gonna get into more of the explaining. Oh, let's see if I can get you some art. Oh yeah, dude. A little bit of art out here, just a little bit, not bad. All right, I got a little distracted by the art here. But I've always known, as long as I've been a stoner, over a decade, that I've wanted to vape it. It's just cleaner, it's healthier. And I know that, like, smoking is just one of those things that wears down on you. I've talked to plenty of people. They've been smoking for years, and some of them, just the way they were doing it, the material they were getting, that kind of stuff, they just can't quite do it anymore. And that was a common theme that I saw. Plenty of people that have been smoking for years that just told me they couldn't do it anymore. It was a common thing among people. And a lot of these people were avid smokers, all-day smokers, and mixing it up with different things like joints. Years ago, when I was getting into it, I feel like more people that I knew and smoked with were using papers. I feel like I saw more dirty glass, and a lot of it was a result of how they were smoking, like smoking blunts all day, every day, gravity bongs all day, every day. Oh, I just can't do that anymore. Tons of that kind of stuff is what I just heard throughout the years. As more legalization comes out, as more content comes out, including a lot of my own, I do see more people taking care of their glass. There are more devices available nowadays to get good hits and stuff like that. And another thing is, some people are just, they're wrecking their throat. They're not thinking about getting high enough, I think. I think about it a lot. I think about the whole process overall. And I very specifically remember when I was first getting into some sessions, hanging out with other people and getting lit, everybody coughed a lot. And some people were trying to do it, the you gotta cough to get off, that kind of stuff. Some people are forcing the cough, thinking it's getting them higher or more lit. And I've always known that if I'm coughing like this every time I take a rip, I'm gonna eventually not be able to do rips anymore. And combustion is way more likely to make me cough than flower vapor. So I've always tried to stay somewhat conscious of my health while consuming, or in my lungs, my throat, that kind of stuff, because I'd talked to a number of people that just couldn't smoke anymore because of how they were smoking. And I liked it a lot, right? Every time I get lit, I'm like, dang, this is a good time. I'm enjoying myself. I want to be able to keep doing this, right? I don't have that mindset of who cares as long as I get high. I hear that all the time. Oh, you want me to go clean my water pipe real quick because it's dirty? Who cares, bro? We're gonna get high still. I used to hear so many people say this phrase, and I'm like, brother, I care. Yeah, I lost my foot, but I got high. Yeah, I can't get high again tomorrow, but I still got high again today. I try to put a little bit more thought into it than the people around me, because it felt like people weren't thinking about what they were doing. So I can even think back to some of the very early days of me getting lit and knowing about vaporizers. I was like, oh, there's a cleaner way to do it where I'm not actually lighting the material on fire and breathing in super harsh smoke. I gotta shout out this place. Bro, it's a bar for gooning, Boca Bar Goons. Anyway, so I will say there were some device limitations early on. Like you couldn't really get anything worth it unless you were getting like a Volcano or something. And I think everybody knows those things are crazy. Not easy to acquire, price ain't cheap. But they are one of the better options. But the stuff that I'm using today, I say it all the time, it's way better than a Volcano. I think the Volcano's iconic. I think it's one of the coolest devices that exist. I use mine all the time, but ball vapes hit way harder. So I have to say it really wasn't until using ball vapes that I understood that I was going to be able to get high from the vapor. That was my whole struggle. That was my whole problem. I'm putting in so much flour into the device. I'm turning it brown. I'm turning it into AVB, but I'm not getting high. I'm not experiencing what I want to experience from this. Now, there's plenty of benefits that you hear about, and I talk about some of my own that I experienced. But I do have to say, when I switched to vaping the flower pretty regularly, one of the things people told me is that I was gonna go through less flower because it's just much more efficient, which that's true, right? That is sincerely true. I'm just as hitting the good part of the plant, essentially. If they were to extract a dab from the flower, I'm just hitting what the dab would be on the plant when I vape flower, essentially. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on the temp. So in terms of hit for hit, what goes in your lungs and comes out of your lungs, the vapor is just doing more. If you have the same size cloud of vapor and the same size cloud of smoke, well, that vapor cloud is much more potent, more than twice as potent, and that cloud of smoke just has a bunch of wasted space in there or just combusted plant material, stuff that doesn't actually affect your high, it just affects your throat and lungs. So you get higher from the single hit of vapor, but my problem for so many years was I wasn't getting a big hit. I was hitting a cloud, but it wasn't a big cloud. I wasn't getting that punch. It felt like I could just hit the vapor all day because it wasn't thick vapor. It wasn't impactful on my lungs. It was just like breathing in slightly spicy air that sort of got me a little bit high. Now, I will say I did have some different experiences with the Volcano, but years ago when I had a lot of my first experiences, the flower I had access to was not great. And I think that's part of the benefit. I think not a lot of people cover this, but throughout the years that I've been getting lit, the quality of stuff I've been using to get lit has increased by a lot, right? I'm getting better flower, better concentrate. And these devices, if you have low quality flower, even if you're using the best of the best, if it doesn't have a lot to give you in terms of vapor, it doesn't matter how good the device is, you're just not gonna get a good hit. So I really believe a lot of it is not getting that same punch of the hit. Even the Volcano, I would say, is not the same thickness of vapor as I get from a ball vape or that I can get from a ball vape. So the Volcano is good, it's really efficient, but it has its own limitations because you have to rely on the built-in heating element and fan. And no offense to the fan inside the Volcano, but I got more powerful lungs than you can put a fan in there, I'm sorry. So after I started experiencing a lot of my first ball vape rips, I was just crushing flower. I'm not too scared to admit it. I was being irresponsible. I was ruining my tolerance. I was just crushing it all day. I was finding any excuse to go live on Twitch and do a set stream. I was like, oh, a new game just came out. I gotta get on early and play. Everybody wants to see it. Meanwhile, it's a game nobody cares about. I just wanted to hit some ball vape rips. So while it is more efficient, you're getting more lit from one cloud of vapor than a cloud of smoke, you might just discover a whole new love for flower where you're just crushing it. You're trying every different kind of flavor you can get. You're trying different temps and different hits. It felt like a reawakening of exploring flower. Like when you light it on fire, I'm sorry, brother, I'm sorry. Best flower in the world, you're not getting the flavor like you're getting when you're hitting a proper vape. It's crazy different because I'm not tasting any of that heat, any of that burnt plant material. I am just tasting what the plant intended. So there is this whole adjustment period. I do tell people it took me maybe a week or two to get used to the vapor. I thought it was harsher at first, but it was just my lungs experiencing pure joy at that point. They had been dealing with so much dull smoke that wasn't doing anything to my lungs that finally, once everything in that cloud of vapor that I put in my lungs was going to get me high, my lungs were like, hey bro, let's celebrate. So there was a short adjustment period for me to feel like I was taking as big a rips. I was like, damn, I'm not getting huge clouds. I'm not able to take a mondo rip like I can with a lighter, but it really was just an adjustment period getting used to the vapor. And now I take some of the biggest hits of my life and there's no bic involved. But getting rid of the bic, getting rid of the smoke, turning it into just vapor that gets you lit, it's so much cleaner. It's so much better. You noticed so many differences. I noticed stuff right away. One thing I used to experience from combustion is I just always had phlegm in my throat. I'd wake up and I'd be clearing my throat for 2 or 3 hours and it just didn't go away. Every day I had the same problem. And after about, I don't know, 5 or 6 days of not using a lighter, just inhaling vapor, the irritation was gone. There was no phlegm. It was like a weird thing, right? You don't think about it until it's gone. I wasn't noticing that I'm waking up every day just clearing my throat for hours. You don't realize that until it disappears and you're like, hey, where's that thing I used to do right after I woke up? Wait, where'd it go? It's gone. And I have to say it again, I got a whole new appreciation for how good the flower is. Like sometimes when you're getting cheap flower, it burns the same as the nice stuff. But when you get the really nice stuff and you put it through your vape, you're like, brother, this is so good. I mean, I don't want to compare it like this, but it's like your first time hitting like some bad tasting cart to getting a real dab or something like that. It's just taking it to the next level to make it so much better. So beyond that, beyond my flower tasting better, me getting more enjoyment out of it, there's another tremendous benefit that I noticed. I'm a stickler for clean glass. I have tons of content talking about it, tons of videos. I tell people if you got dirty glass, you probably got a dirty behind. Doggo. And even when I was doing combustion, I made it a point to clean my glass every day. I had a nice system for keeping it clean. I used a big old beaker with a downstem. I just spray some isopropyl in the downstem and then brush it out. When you get that ash and resin buildup, it's dirty. It's a little bit harder to clean. But when you're just vaping the flower, when you eliminate all the ash, all the tar, all the resin, and you're just getting vapor, the cleanliness you notice on your piece is crazy. Sometimes I'll do a whole sesh, I'll rip out of the piece 10 or so times, and then I have to look at it close to see if it's dirty, right? Most of the setups that I use, you're not really pulling any solids into your glass or anything like that. Usually it's trapping in a bowl. And then there's no smoke. You eliminated the dirtiest part of smoking, the smoke, right? When you smoke, there's some vapor in there, right? It's not all smoke, but when you're vaping it, you've eliminated the dirtiest part, so you're just getting the good clean stuff that gets you high. Well, let's look at some more art. It's been years, but I used to play the violin. Little fact about me. It's been a while. Maybe I gotta get a green one or something and see how we do. So it changed up my morning routine. I'm getting rid of all the coughing, all the phlegm, but my routine for cleaning glass changed. It takes almost no time now. Like I already firmly believe that if you clean your glass every day, it takes away the daunting aspect of the process and it just makes it a lot easier. Like if you wait weeks and weeks, it'll take you several minutes to get it clean. But if you do it every day, it takes about 30 seconds, right? I don't spend more than a minute. And usually that minute is spent for me just waiting for the isopropyl alcohol to eat away at any buildup that's in there. I'm not sitting there shaking it or whatever. You don't need to do that. Oops. All right, I just kicked a cup and feel like there's a trash can nearby. That thing that they do was at Disney World, you got a trash can every like 20 feet or something like that. People do not litter when you got trash can options. I assumed I was coming up on one, but I don't see one. Okay, I'm just holding a plastic cup now. Okay, I see one. It's gone where I'm going. And I also have to say, in addition to making my whole process of cleaning easier, when I switched to vaping, I got a whole new appreciation for different types of glass. I kind of had it locked in for combustion rips. My ideal piece for using a lighter was like an 18-inch beaker. You get a nice big chamber that you can fill up with smoke and clear. You get a nice angle on the beaker. You can tilt that, have a nice ergonomic hit. And I just felt like that size of beaker, anything smaller, I felt like I was getting the smoke too quickly, and anything larger, I felt like I had to do a little bit more in terms of pulling to clear it after the smoke cooled off. But when you switch into vapor, that vapor is just a lower temperature than the smoke. I can use a smaller piece like I do with concentrates, and you're just getting right to the flavor, right to the vapor, and you're not filling your lungs up with like wasted air. Like if you're ripping with a larger piece, you have to pull the smoke all the way through the piece. You have to pull all of the air out of it essentially to start getting the smoke. So on a bigger piece, you're effectively getting more air in your lungs than you are on a smaller piece because you're just getting the smoke or vapor sooner. So I went from every day using an 18-inch piece to now the piece I use is about 8 inches tall. It's way easier to clean, it's way easier to handle, way easier to hit. It's not nearly as heavy and it's not nearly as large. Okay, let me check out this fountain here. I hate when the fountains are off. Oh yeah, look at that there. That looks crazy. Oh yeah, dude. So I do have to say that vaping the flower also gave me a new appreciation for the flower, but it gave me a new appreciation for devices and how they work. I will say a lot of the older stuff that I used was just no good. I didn't like it, and I swore off of vaping. I was like, man, we already got decent electronic dab rigs, but we don't have decent electronic flower ones. There's never gonna be a good one, but luckily I was able to find the right tools for that because it's given me a new appreciation. Now I can maybe revisit some of those lesser performing devices and know exactly why they're bad or what they would need to be better. Now, I still think most people are gonna have a similar experience to me. They're not gonna enjoy vaping if they don't get the right setup. There's too many setups out there, there's too many devices that don't give you the experience that you're looking for. The same is true with concentrate, but I do have to say that e-rigs have been getting better, like the baseline of e-rigs. I will say I think the baseline of e-rigs is higher than the baseline performance of your average flower device, which is another reason that I was not really leaning into them for a while, because I'm like, bro, they're already behind and they've been around for longer. So I figured this would be helpful to anybody who's maybe on the fence or has tried a number of devices. It's really good. I would say I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life, so I really wanna find the cleaner ways to do things. If you haven't tried some stuff yet, definitely check out the main channel, see what kind of devices we have over there. Because there's so many things you could just end up dropping half your check or something, and then you get something that's gonna collect dust, you're gonna use it one time, be disappointed, and never wanna use it again. So, hey, don't let that be you. It happened to me. I really do think flower vape hits are some of the best hits that you can get, and I'm gonna hopefully see if I can do bigger and better ones for the rest of forever. Concentrate hits are cool, but like, you can only go larger and larger with them, right? We already got temperatures and stuff dialed in. I'm trying to see the best we can do with flower now. Oh, we got a scooter gang, but I'm not on a scooter today. All right, well, that's probably enough yapping. I gotta go pick up some more supplies to test out my devices with. And look, if you have any benefits, anything that you've noticed from switching to vaping, leave some comments. Let me know. People are gonna read through these comments. They're gonna see something that you said, heard something that I said, and they're really gonna give it a shot. Either way, come get lit with me on my live streams. We go live 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific every night. And maybe you can ask me about some stuff you might wanna try out over there. All right, thanks for walking with me. Have a lit day, my dudes.